You are listening to Power Marketing with Kevin Lee. Here's Kevin.
You've been in the news recently, and hopefully we'll get this video edited fairly quickly so we can get it out there when it's still topical. But there's obviously a lot of debate as to the Twitter profiles. How many of them are bots? How many of them are authentic? How many of them are authentic but just not users? You've got monthly active users, you've got daily active users. And then, of course, bots can be active and humans can be active. And there's this sort of, many ways of parsing that data, right? And of course, the semantics around that is with regards to Elon Musk's bid for Twitter, right? And the fact that he's now saying that he disagrees with Twitter's filings with regards to what percentage of their monthly user base are fake or bots. And you did a collaborative study and you came up with your own numbers using obviously your own set of fairly conservative metrics as far as my perspective goes. But you diced it and sliced it in a different way and came up with another number. So I'd love you to sort of walk through the study, but also walk through the thinking of how you did the cutoffs, right? Because you sort of had to place the cutoffs in certain places as to sort of at what level is something more likely to be a bot than a human, because only the bot and the human know for sure, right? And so you can't ask them. And even a bot could be programmed to give you the right answer. So given that, you had to sort of go through the process of making these decisions about where you thought the prudent cutoffs were for gauging authenticity and humanity.
Yeah, that's right. So let's see. I'll tell you that when we kicked this off, it was mostly because some reporters had reached out to us. We've been running this fake followers free research tool that anyone can use. The methodology is relatively straightforward, but it's something that we needed to build for ourselves. So I mentioned what our audience research tool does, right? Where it sort of connects up all these profiles. And one of the things we wanted to do was avoid crawling and indexing spam or bots or propaganda or misinformation, because that stuff would make all of the data that people retrieve in an audience research tool like ours cloudy, right? It'd just be, I have to kind of dig through this junk. And is this a real hashtag? Like, why do people keep using the, fund my BTC wallet hashtag or whatever it is? And it's like, oh, that's mostly spam. And so we don't want to include that kind of stuff. And for that reason, because we had this long running tool for it, lots of folks from media, half a dozen, folks from media reached out and said like, hey, can you validate or verify Twitter statements or Musk statements or, what the real answer is? And the answer is we can do some things that are potentially interesting directionally, but as I noted, at the top of the report in methodology and at the bottom of the report again in like frequently asked questions and in the Twitter thread where I post about it, we cannot know what Twitter counts as an MDAU, a monthly daily active user, like someone who, is active inside Twitter on a daily basis each month. All right. So we can't know that. So let's do the next best thing, which is to analyze a sample set of both, randomly selected Twitter profiles, giant, huge sum of them, and specifically selected Twitter profiles that have activity that suggests they did something last month, i.e. they sent a tweet or reply. That's the only thing that Twitter's API will show you. And so we analyzed, I think it was 5 different groups of data with varying methodology. I think Elon Musk's suggestion on Twitter on Saturday morning or whatever was that you should take a random 100 followers of the @Twitter account, which is obviously too small a sample size, but we nevertheless did that as well and applied our methodology to that. And, 16 of the 100 that we looked at in that data set look to us a lot like fake spam, bot, inactive, inauthentic profiles, right? Not a human being behind there, like actually logging into Twitter, on their phone or their desktop and seeing the content that Twitter, that the people that they follow produces or that any Twitter ads might produce. And then we tried a methodology which was to look at all of at Elon Musk's followers, like all 93 million of them. We ran every single one through our fake follower tool. It took like 36 hours or something. And okay, in that case, 70% of them look like they are not actually seeing Elon's tweets, right? There's not a human being on the other side who actually sees what he tweets. Now, that still means, you're talking about 30 million people who see his tweets, when he posts. So he's got a powerful, obviously, account, but it is not 93 million. Then we analyzed only active users, only people who follow Elon and had sent a tweet in the last 90 days or reply. And using that metric, it's much lower. It's like 23% of those look fakey, spammy body. And certainly when he looks at his replies, I'm sure he's like, no, it must be more than that. But to us, it looks like, it's about, 23%. Anyway, then we looked at a random sample from Follower Wonk's database, who we worked with in the tool. That data set, they have more than a billion, I think it's 1.1 something billion Twitter profiles. And when you think about that, and Twitter says we have 230 million active daily users out of 1.1 billion profiles that you can find on twitter.com or through the app. Well, so does that mean Twitter essentially is saying only 70% or only 25% or a little bit less of our total use, all the users you could find on here are what we count as MDAUs. So no wonder we're finding so much stuff that doesn't look active, right? And so we took from this 1.1 billion, we took the 150 million profiles that Follower Wonk had seen send a tweet in the last 9 weeks or tweet or reply. And then we took a random sample of those, 45,000 or so, analyzed them. The number was 19.7% that looked spam, fake, bots, inactive, not real people. And that's the number that we think probably best represents if you were to take a random sample of someone who looked active on Twitter, meaning they sent a tweet or a reply in the last couple of months, that number seems to be most accurate. Does it match MDAUs? We cannot know.
Kevin Lee's Power Marketing is available on all your favorite podcast networks. Kevin loves helping businesses excel at marketing. Having marketing challenges? Just like Santa in The Miracle on 34th Street, if Kevin can't help you, he'll know someone who can. Find him on LinkedIn, subscribe, or follow.